Behind every single property deed, every mortgage, every single claim to a piece of land, there's this huge invisible system. It's a system designed to bring order out of what could be total chaos. Today, we're going to dive into how California's recording system actually works to protect what's probably your most valuable asset.
Okay, let's just get right to the heart of it. Picture this. You've saved up for years. You find your dream home. You sign all the papers, only to find out, whoops, the seller already sold it to someone else. It sounds like an absolute nightmare, right? Well, that's the exact problem this entire system is built to prevent. I mean, just think about it. Without a public, verifiable system, how would you prove you own anything? It would be like the Wild West, a world of secret deals, people making conflicting claims, and just endless, expensive fights. Buying property would be an incredible gamble, and frankly, the whole real estate market would probably grind to a halt. This is the chaos the recording system was designed to solve.
So, what was the big idea? The California legislature created this system for one main reason: to protect innocent people from getting burned by secret deals. The whole goal was to make property freely transferable, by creating a public place where literally anyone could go and check the ownership and the history of a title. It's a foundational American idea for safeguarding one of your most important assets.
The best way to think about the county recorder's office is like a massive public library. But instead of books, the shelves are filled with documents that tell the story of every single piece of land in the county. By putting your document in this library, you're essentially shouting to the entire world, hey everyone, this is my claim.
Now, to really get this system, you've got to understand how the law thinks about knowing something. First, there's actual notice. That's easy. It's someone telling you a fact directly. But constructive notice is the real powerhouse here. If a document is in the public record, the law presumes you know about it, whether you've actually looked it up or not. In this system, I didn't know is just not an excuse.
So what exactly gets filed in this big public library? Well, the law calls them instruments. It sounds a little formal, but it's really just a legal term for a signed paper that affects a property. We're talking about deeds, mortgages, leases, land contracts, basically any official document that transfers an interest, creates a debt against the property, or grants some kind of specific right.
The recording process itself is pretty straightforward, but every single step is crucial. You take your instrument down to the county recorder's office, they stamp it with the exact time and date, give it a unique number, and then index it by name. It's a simple process, but it creates this clear, public, chronological trail for that property that anyone can follow.
And this brings us to a really fun concept called priority. Because every document is time-stamped, the system basically creates a race. So when you have competing claims on the same property, who gets paid first? Well, generally, it's the person who wins the race to the recorder's office. Let's walk through a classic example of this race. On June 1st, a seller gives a mortgage to buyer B. But buyer B, for whatever reason, doesn't record it right away. They just sit on it. Then 9 days later, the same seller, not a great person, obviously, fraudulently gives another mortgage on the same property to buyer C. Buyer C has no idea about the first deal, so they do the right thing and immediately record their mortgage on June 15th. 5 days after that, buyer B finally gets around to recording theirs, and now we've got a problem. So here's the million-dollar question. If the seller defaults and there's only enough money to pay one of them, who has the better claim? Is it buyer B, who technically got their mortgage first, or is it buyer C, who recorded first? What do you think? And the answer is buyer C. This right here is the power of the recording system in action, because buyer C was an innocent party who had absolutely no notice of B's earlier claim, and because they won the race to record, their mortgage takes priority. Buyer B's failure to give public notice by recording cost them their place in line. Simple as that. But like any good legal system, it's not always quite that simple. That first to record wins rule has some really important exceptions that, create a much more complete and sometimes more complex picture. See, the whole system is designed to protect innocent parties. So if you have actual notice of an unrecorded claim, you can't just race to the courthouse to beat them out of their spot. Other claims can also jump the line. A mechanic's lien, for example, gets its priority from the day work began, not the day it was filed. And government tax liens? Yeah, they almost always go right to the very front, no matter what. Now, this whole principle of public notice extends way beyond just land. Let's look at a really critical commercial situation where it protects a whole different group of people, the bulk sale.
We're not talking about a single-family home here. This is about selling off an entire business's assets.
So, what is a bulk sale? It's when a business owner sells off a huge chunk of their assets. We're talking more than half their inventory and equipment, outside of their normal day-to-day business. Why does this get special rules? Well, it's to protect the business's creditors. It prevents an owner from just selling off everything, taking the cash, and disappearing, leaving all their suppliers with a pile of unpaid bills.
To make sure the sale is done on the up and up, the law puts the responsibility squarely on the buyer. The buyer has 3 specific jobs to do. First, they have to record a notice of the sale. Second, they have to publish it in a local newspaper. And third, they have to notify the county tax collector. This trio of notices is designed to create maximum public awareness, giving any creditors a chance to see what's happening and make a claim. And here's the key number you absolutely have to remember. All 3 of those notices have to be completed at least 12 business days before the sale actually goes through. This gives creditors a crucial window of time to act before all the assets are gone for good.
So what happens if the buyer just doesn't do this? What are the consequences for dropping the ball? They're huge. If the buyer doesn't give proper notice, they become personally liable for the seller's business debts. The law basically says, hey, if you didn't warn the creditors, then you're the one who has to pay them. So, as we've seen, the recording system is this incredibly powerful tool for creating a clear public chain of title. It's all about protecting innocent parties by, well, penalizing those who try to keep their claims a secret. But it's not the entire picture. And that leaves us with a final and really crucial thought. The public record tells the official story of a property, but it doesn't always tell the whole story. The exceptions we talked about, the things you only discover by actually walking the land and looking around, they remind us that the record, while absolutely essential, is just the starting point for true due diligence.